I'd like to now invite Aman, Trana, the Chief Financial Management Officer, to kind of bring this down to what this means to ADB.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice to see so many faces, many of whom I have not seen in quite some time, so it's great. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Vivek and Suzanne for this amazing event. Overflowed crowd, that's wonderful, and for all the people who actually made it down here. I'd like to thank Marzena, definitely, Netflix member since 2007. So my own account, not stealing from anyone. And I'd also like to thank Netflix for getting me through some very difficult times during lockdown. The binging was, I think, highly excessive, so I think I've definitely used the very low fee to value addition. So this was a really insightful discussion, and I've been asked to give some reflections, and there's so much that you touched upon that is so relevant to ADB. And I think the biggest issue really, or the biggest what you've talked about, is where the commonalities are, which would not necessarily be obvious. And I think really when we look at it, we see that innovation is not just applicable to media companies or startups or cryptocurrency, all the cool stuff the kids love. It's also applicable to us. And we have to see how that we work towards that. So it really requires an innovative mindset that can be applied no matter what industry, what organization, including a regional development bank. And we have to see the possibilities and we have to see the opportunities. So we at the ADB have been on a bit of a journey for the last 2 or 3 years, whether we recognize it or not, as such as that. And perhaps we haven't given ourselves enough credit to recognize many of the changes that have happened and are currently underway. For example, we innovated during COVID work from home. We adapted, found new ways of working, communicating, staying in touch, and we delivered. This is what Wu Chong talked about, little innovations. Not global impact, but we did it over 2.5 years, and we innovated, and we got it done. We refreshed our values along the way on being more client-centric, trustworthy, transformational, as Tomo discussed. That requires an innovative mindset. The organizational review is looking at new ways of working. To break silos, collaborate, leverage, and share our knowledge and experiences, this requires an innovative mindset and requires all of us, from the most junior to the most senior level, to have that perspective and to keep that in mind. So with that, I want to limit my points to 3 on the reflections of what Marzena and Vivek talked about, but there's so many. First and foremost, about building creative units or building a creative environment. ADB has established an innovation hub, as you can see, innovation hub, to put a structure on innovation in the bank and define areas where we can support innovation. Now, it does not mean that innovation happens just in the hub. Innovation can happen anywhere, wherever you are. A lot of what I tell my team is my innovation sometimes comes from staring out the window. For those of you here who work with me, how often have I said, stop, stare out the window, look out at Mega Mall. We're lucky enough to be on the 7th floor. We have a really nice view of the air conditioning units, and I look at that and I just sit there. So sometimes I tell them, if you walk into my office and I'm staring into space, I'm innovating. Okay? Just, on occasion my eyes might be closed. I'm still innovating. You have to give yourself time to think and not get bogged down the day-to-day. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I appreciate that staring out the window got a round of applause. So I appreciate that. So the Innovation Hub really is going to support innovation, really spur this on learning, management, partnerships, applying innovation. And I think the Innovation Hub can learn from Netflix experience. And it's really about being client orientation, client-centric. It's amazing how the 3 values that have been really one of our biggest focus last couple of years really tie into what we've been discussing today, to be client-focused. Second is talent. I think, emphasis has been that Netflix has put in a framework and a set of policies to attract, retain, and grow talent. We've heard how Netflix hires and retains the best people and empowers them. Marzena talked about trust. Shockingly, that's also one of our refreshed values. How coincidental. And President Massa has often said that ADB's greatest strength is its staff. And I think that's how we have to see ourselves. Our greatest strength are not our policies and our procedures and our systems. It's us, right? And so if we don't take on that obligation, if we don't take on that responsibility and live that, then no matter policies, procedures, etc., that we can change all that. But if we don't change ourselves, then we're nowhere, right? So that goes back to what we've been talking about. And ADB has to continue on focusing on attracting, retaining, and growing the talent to continue on this journey that we're on. There's many changes afoot, and we have to stay nimble to be able to adapt to that. Lastly, tell our stories. Again, this is something I think is so important. And again, those of you, I see some people from my team here, I say it all the time. I'm a financial person. I like data. I like spreadsheets. It's my comfort zone. Financial statements, all that good stuff. Sit in my office, do my numbers. That's not how the world works anymore. You have to be out there and tell stories and show the impact of your work. Demonstrate where your value addition is. We don't live in that world anymore. The world has changed so much and the expectations are so different that if we don't go out there and demonstrate ADB's value addition and its impact, we will not achieve what we want to, either personally for our personal ambitions or the organizational ambitions. So I think it's really important to leverage these tools, whether it's Netflix, LinkedIn, whatever else is out there, to demonstrate that. So I know some of these ideas are new for us, or they're new ways of thinking, and it might be challenging and uncomfortable, and this is entirely understandable, of course. Change is always difficult. But without an innovative mindset, both as individuals, as an organization, we can't realize our ambitions. And this comes to the third refreshed value of transformational. If we don't have that mindset, how can we transform? If we're happy with the status quo, how can we transform? And does not mean status quo is wrong necessarily, but, as my Director General says, don't try, don't know. And again, I can't remember who said it, but it was the analogy to, Apple updates. I think it was Tomo. If you can correct along the way, but just that's not reason enough not to do something. We can course correct, we can adjust as we go on. So, I may be dating myself a little bit, but when I lived in the US, I lived very close to a Blockbuster. Friday night, I'd stop at the Blockbuster at my metro stop. I was looking for a specific movie, never found it, took whatever is available, forgot to return it for weeks, incurred amazing overdue fees, late fees. And I thought that was just perfectly fine. I didn't question that model. It just seemed to me like, yeah, this is how life works. It never occurred to me. Then one day at my brother's house, I saw little red envelopes. And I thought, what are those little red envelopes? And how does this work? And I thought, my God, why didn't I think of this? Reed Hastings beat me to it. But, and I still remember that quite vividly, of being a bit embarrassed that I never thought that this could be even a possibility. That, that kind of have that thing of the status quo was fine. Didn't like it. It wasn't working for me. I never got to watch the movie that I wanted, but it never occurred to me to change it or think of a new way. And I think that's something that always sticks in my mind, of how that was really important to kind of try to see things in a very different way. So I think we have to see and embrace the possibilities, think of new ways of working, fostering an environment where innovation thrives so that we remain relevant and engaged. Innovating in how we work is not an option, it's a necessity. And I think and I really think we don't want to be the Blockbuster. We want to be better than that. So I really believe that's important. Anyway, thank you very much for the organizing team. I appreciate this very much. It's a wonderful space, really well laid out. And thank you so much for this session. And thank you, Marzena, very much for being here. And thank you all. Thanks, Vivek.
So thank you very much. This was the first session to kick us all off in the right mindset. And with that, we invite you for coffee for a 15-minute break. Please also take the opportunity to walk around in the marketplace. And we have, of course, the official marketplace later, where you will have more conversations with the marketplace owners. In the meantime, 15-minute break. Take advantage of the LinkedIn photo booth, the innovation booth. Post yourself on social media and LinkedIn and so on. And join us again at 10:30 for the conversations with Jeff Taylor, Christine Engstrom, and Safda Pavis, opened by Albert, the chief economist, on what it takes to innovate in ADB and what our innovation goals are here at ADB. And it will be followed by some behavioral insights. How can we nudge better with Margarita Gomez? So thank you.